Hello everyone. I have been tagged with the Choose Your Own Adventure tag. I was tagged by Ponderings of Pete, who I will link in the description, and the tag was started by Johanna. Basically, there's a bunch of prompts and 4 characters, and I'm going to pick characters who I would pick for that prompt. I may have a couple honorable mentions in there. I'm not restricting myself to one per series. At first I was going to, but then I was like, no, I didn't want to, because there were multiple people for one series I wanted to pick. So let's get into it. The first one is my fantasy twin, which is a character I personally relate to. And frankly, there's not that many I super relate to, because I'd be a pretty boring fantasy character. I'd just be like, I'm just going to stay home and read. Everyone else go save the world. But I picked Drem from Of Blood and Bone by John Gwynne, the follow-up trilogy by John Gwynne to The Faithful and the Fallen. And that is because, like me, Drem really, really doesn't want to deal with this fantasy shit and wants to be left alone. And it's just his thoughts on events that happen, I feel like, are thoughts that I would have as well. So that was my pick. And I also could have picked Harry Dresden, because he also would, if he could, basically just stay home and read a book. But I could have picked Dresden or Drem. I randomly went with Drem because, I don't know. All of you know who Dresden is. Not as many of you are going to know who Drem is. We got to spread the love to characters who aren't as known when it's a 50-50. I could have gone either way. But that is going to be my pick for Drem, who's, really just kind of wants to be left alone, but is not always given what he wants. And the next one, prompt number 2, is my fantasy hero, whose name a character that I aspire to be like. And I have a random Dresden book here, because I didn't pick Dresden for this. I picked Michael Carpenter, the paladin in the Dresden Files, who is just so uncompromisingly good. There are characters who try to do the right thing, but Michael won't cut corners trying to do the right thing. And it's just, if you've read Dresden, you know why I picked Michael. Michael's the best. Everyone loves Michael. If you don't love Michael, that's weird. Why don't you like Michael? He's great. Anyway, he was a pretty obvious pick. I saw this and I was just like, yeah, Michael. There are a lot of characters who I could aspire to be like, but I think Michael is as good of a role model as you will find. He doesn't cut corners. He does things right. And he always tries to do the right thing. And I mean, he pretty much succeeds. He doesn't compromise to do the right thing. And maybe if you're not a knight of the sword or a knight of the cross or a paladin, you might have to compromise more. But as an ideal, he's always there to try not to compromise. So that's who I picked for this. I also am going to mention, back for Fantasy Twin, I was somewhat tempted to pick the random young soldier who dies in Chapter 1 of Way of Kings. I almost went with that, but I decided to pick a real answer of a character I actually know something about. Anyway, let's move on to the next prompt. Number 3 is I need to choose a champion. There's a trial by combat, and I need a champion to fight on my behalf. And I figure I got tagged by Pete, so my champion might end up fighting Pete's champion, and I haven't read Red Rising, so I need to pick someone good, and I'm just gonna pick someone completely broken. I'm not gonna play fair, so I'm just holding up the Malazan book I'm reading. I'm gonna pick Animander Rake, because he'll win, and I could have picked other people, but I think Animander Rake would actually take it seriously. There are some people more OP than Animander Rake, but I'm like, would they fight, as a champion? I don't know. But Animander Rake, he's going to be my champion. He's going to kill the ever-loving crap out of whoever's up against him. No problem. Easy peasy. I haven't even read the series, and I'm fully confident he could kill, 20 of the champions that Pete picked. So come at me, Pete. I'm going to win the trial by combat, and whatever happens to the loser is going to happen to you. You were very confident in your champion. Let me know in the comments if you were still as confident after seeing who your champion might be up against. And let's move on to the next spot. The next prompt is the unlikable character I truly despise. And this one I could have picked, there's a lot of people I could have picked. There's a couple obvious ones, but also the one I wanted to pick is a little bit of a spoiler, so I decided not to pick it. There's a few honorable mentions, but I went with Senator Arnos from Codex Alera. Specifically, he's at his worst in Captain's Fury. And this weaselly shithead senator, maybe one of the most punchable characters I've ever encountered. And the way, like, he just, in his head, brings everyone down to his level. And he's so sniveling. He's just the worst. He's so full of himself as well. I also, as an honorable mention, the other person I almost had picked was from The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, and that was Lycos, who's also just... Lycos, there's so many hateable characters. I also wanted to pick Regal from the Farseer trilogy, and like 70 characters from The Song of Ice and Fire, or like anyone from the First Law. Like all of them. Just everyone. But I decided to go with Senator Arnos from Codex Alera. But I mean, I couldn't pick which one I hate the most. But he sucks. Man, I hate that guy. We're moving on. So, the next prompt is who would I want to go to a bar and have a drink with? My tavern buddy. And we are continuing the spree of, this is one of the reasons why I won multiple from the same series, because I'm going to go for one of the other Knight of the Cross, and that is Sonya from the Dresden Files, who is an atheist Knight of the Cross, and he actually would go drinking, which would be a good time. Like, he actually would go and, like, put back some vodka, and I just think he'd be a really fun person to have a conversation with and sit down and chat with. And also, there's a lot of characters who would have a high chance of murdering me, and Sonya would have a 0% chance of murdering me. So, for all those reasons, I'm picking Sonya. Honorable mention, I almost picked Matt Cawthon from The Wheel of Time, but I decided that might be more fun to read about from Matt's perspective, and I may end up losing lots of money if I end up gambling with him. So, I decided to go with Sonya from the Dresden Files. That's for this prompt. Next one I would pick is for the villain, and this is someone who I wouldn't want to cross paths with specifically. And there's a lot of villains I could pick, and I said I didn't want to pick someone who's Machiavellian, who just does, like, will do whatever it takes, because I might just not get in their way. Like, I don't see why I would actually be blocking their path. So I want to pick someone who would kill me because they thought it would be fun to kill me. So I picked Podon Fane from The Wheel of Time, who is the most deeply unsettling... He's like point of view chapters in this series, and he's the most deeply unsettling character to be in the head of I've ever read by far. He would not only murder me, he would, like, gleefully murder me just for the heck of it. Like, even if I didn't get in his way at all, if we just bumped into each other, stabby is happening to me, and so he'd probably it would be bad. So that was my pick. I didn't want to pick someone who was just like Machiavellian, because I would just be like, yeah, nice villain. So I went with Podon Fane from The Wheel of Time. That's my pick. So the next one is the mentor pick. And this one, I mean, a lot of the mentors are good, and I actually picked a character who isn't even a mentor. I forgot to get into the Malazan book, so I'm just holding up the Malazan book I'm reading, because it's Trull Sengar from Malazan, Book of the Fallen, who I just think would be a great mentor, even though he's not a mentor character. I just think he'd be really good at it, and I could learn from Trull Sengar. And so that's my pick for mentor, probably objectively a worse mentor than, like, Gandalf, but I don't care. I'm picking him anyways. Deal with it. One is the Samwise Gamgee. Name the character you would trust with your life. And I almost picked Shiro, the third and final Knight of the Cross in the Dresden Files, going for the Knight of the Cross cycle. But I decided, so that's an honorable mention, I decided to go with Kaladin Stormblessed from the Stormlight Archive, partially because not having a Stormlight character on here would just be terrible, partially so I could show off the Leatherbound, and partially because saving people's life is his thing. Like, even if he didn't like me, he would save my life. Granted, that's true of Shiro as well, but I think Kaladin if you need someone to save your life, he's a pretty damn safe bet. And he's hard to go wrong with. So that's my pick, yeah. And also, it's really just so I can show off the leatherbound. That's the real reason. Look at it. It's gorgeous. Anyway. But, I mean, Kaladin actually is a really good pick. But, for a lot of these, there's a lot of characters I could pick. I mean, Shiro... I trust both Shiro and Kaladin to save my life. They're both very trustworthy. But let's move on to the last pick. So, the last one is the Found Family tag, which is if you could adopt one character or offer a home, who would it be? And it was funny because the person who tagged me, Pete, really struggled with this one. Because obviously there are a lot of fantasy characters you'd want to give a home. But I instantly knew right away, without doubt, that I would pick Fitz Chivalry Farseer from the Farseer trilogy and just the Realm of the Elderlings in general, but I've only read the Farseer trilogy. Fitz is maybe one of the loneliest and deserving of a family characters I've ever read about. This was probably the easiest decision of the entire tag. It's Fitz by far, not even close. I didn't even really consider anyone else. Like this, I literally, as soon as I saw the tag, I was like, Fitz. And, Pete's saying everyone, I'm like, no, Fitz. Fitz is the answer. So for this, I'm picking Fitz, and I'm going to be extremely happy that he gets a home. And I hope he gets along great with them and is generally happy because he deserves it, damn it. Yeah, that's who I'm going for. It isn't even close. This one doesn't get an honorable mention. Just Fitz. It's Fitz by far. So, that's the end of the tag. It is now time for me to tag other people, and I'm not at all original with who I tag. So, Chase, I'm tagging you again. Alex, you tagged me last time, so I'm pulling the old Uno reverse card on you. So, yeah. And once again, I'm going to tag OG Garbage Tea. He didn't do the last tag, but honestly, this one I actually think would be, super funny. I think it would be great. So, please do it. It would be fantastic. I really want to see it. So, those are the three people who I'm going to tag. Link to their channel into the description. And hopefully they do it. Someone else might have tagged Alex. I don't know. Other people might have already tagged those people, but whatever. If you get tagged twice, that means you have to do the video twice, I think. That's how it works, right? I don't know. Anyway, that is the conclusion to my tag. I actually, not all from the same series. When I first thought it, I was thinking to myself that it'd be all Stormlight and Dresden. We actually only had one Stormlight answer, which was a bit surprising. One Wheel of Time answer as well, and two Dresden answers. So actually two Malazan. That's probably just because I'm reading Malazan right now. But also, they both did fit it pretty damn well. For the champion, it was obviously going to be a Malazan character because they're super OP. Although I guess I could have just picked a god from another novel, but whatever. That's who I'm going with. Anyway, let me know what you think of my picks, and yeah, I don't know. I never know what to say at the end here. Do something. I don't know. Enjoy your life. That's my outro.